review of Rosehill for the 16th of July. Pretty even looking track for once, and not too much bias about it, I don't think. The fence probably not the place to be, but most runners got off the fence. Pretty much a even looking day with pace, and the best horses mostly look like they won the races. So starting with the first, the 2-year-old race over the 1400 metres, Morton's Fork solidly back favourite. They did come out and announce strangely that they would go more forward with Morton's Fork and take a sit on Fanfaron. My opinion was before the race I didn't think there should be that much a gap between the two, and I guess they've sort of decided, because they're both drawn wide, one would go forward, one would go back. They do not run along too fast here, so we'll have a look at the race.
Set now, 1400 metres, are off and racing well. Morton's Fork, the plan was to be 4, but he's blown the start.
That kind of explains that. And then also we'll notice Fanfaron, who had the pace to be up on the space, is sort of dragged out of the race by Clipperton because he's been given those instructions, and then decides, when he realises he's not getting in anywhere, to roll forward. So it's done a bunch more work than it ever would have had to, and still never finds a position. Morton's Fork back on the fence, high missed in here, runs well, a little bit unlucky. The late closer from the back in Harper's Choice, having its second start off a luckless effort at the Beaumont track on debut. Tumultuous kind of runs well in the middle here, so Fanfaron's the only one really working hard. Morton's Fork tracks in and well ridden, gets around him on the turn and sustains a run. Fanfaron, despite doing all this work, travels up really strongly, exactly like he did his first start, nearly identical sort of run. He had to work hard, 3 wide on the speed. Not a fast pace here, but still not easy to do. It's his second start as a 2-year-old, and he battles on extra well. Morton's Fork had the class to sort of overcome them, and not much between the 3 behind. High Mist was a little bit unlucky, but I think it might be overplayed, and Gerald's horse has definitely got a race in it, closing off nice and strongly. Don't think there's a lot that would be missed here. I think the run of the race was probably Fanfaron. Morton's Fork did have things go against it, riding back, but may have not been too big a detriment in the end. Harper's Choice follows the winner through and has its chance. Tumultuous has its chance. I think Screamar's a horse that'll make a better horse, and definitely not one that wanted to be ridden close to the pace. He might be, 6 months away. Lord Macau maybe stayed hard against, a bit closer to the rail than anything else did for the rest of the day. So a decent quality bunch of 2-year-olds, not a lot between them, and there will be coming winners, I'd say, in the first 3, especially Fanfaron's probably the horse I'd be looking to follow out of the race. Screamar next preparation probably, and Tumultuous High Mist is a horse I'm not that overly keen on that has a boom on it, but can win if placed well, and so can Harper's Choice, who was just probably ridden a bit quiet because of the outside gate, and probably if he takes up a position next time will be harder to beat. Race 2, 1500 metre for the 3-year-olds, and a bizarre choice from Classic Uniforms Connections to decide to ride it off the pace in a race that looked devoid of speed, which kind of changed the setup of the race and made it easier for the likes of Kingsguard and Dark Eyes to get on speed cheaply. They run a very even tempo throughout and control things to their liking. Bit of a situation to me like Foreign Prince, where Classic Uniform, who looks to me to be a free going horse and may have gone a bit slow in front if anything last time, is now being restrained and taking away its main weapon. So I'm not sure what they'll do following on from this, but you can see he doesn't really want to be there, and he's not a horse that's going to quicken off a speed which he's shown in every start he's ever had. So Dark Eyes and Kingsguard control that tempo. Tenorino in behind them. Classic Uniform, funnily enough, gets stuck 3 wide. Louis CK up in trip. Naran just sort of floating out there. Dubai and Style Saboric. So Willie comes up the fence and runs well. I thought that was a good effort here. Saboric had its chance. Definitely got to the outside at the right time, and amazing how this happens. These two bump again, Dubai and Style and Saboric, like they did last time. And they come together. They never really get into the race. Get squashed there, a lot of them. Took the stuffing out of them by the look of it a little bit too. So Dark Eyes, right place, right time, up to its right trip, got the job done. Not convinced by this race too much. I wouldn't say. I think Dark Eyes is a tough horse. These horses are obviously not much between them. Saboric, Dubai and Style both going well enough, but I think Saboric wins if it runs up to its run last time. So even though the bump there may have costed a little bit, I don't think it costed the race. My worry is that So Willie pops up, and he to me is not a very genuine sort of horse. So he's taking away from the rest of them, and the others. I would be forgiving of Louis CK up in trip. I don't know what the heck he was doing in this race. And Classic Uniform definitely needs, probably to me, up in trip and bowling in front at the one pace that suits him. Race 3, the highway race. Part of the race, I thought it was a really tough race, apart from thinking there was a bit of value in somebody that the tabs went up about 150 to 1 about. He was backed into, say, $20 come start time, and runs a huge race. Starshaft did look the class, and given a really perfect ride for the first time in quite a while. It's always going to be tough to hold out. Stratum Siren really is quite honest. Not terribly much more to report. It does look like a pretty softish race, but like a solid. They run even pace throughout. Somebody's out here never gets a trail of any sort of 4 and 5 wide throughout. Who knows, if he got a trail, he may have been harder to hold off at the end. He does tough it out quite well. He was coming off a mudgy soup track run where it was sort of like a 10 at best, and just tough to get through, and didn't have the fitness base to get through it that day, and it really looks to have come on from that run. Starshaft just pinches runs in behind them and gets to the best part, and then gets the split when he wants it. Following through here, so nothing more could have gone right for Starshaft really. Just a perfect run. These guys are all getting cluttered. Somebody's been wide throughout and really does tough it out well. Like, he even cops a bump there and keeps going. Does it well to hold on comfortably for second really. So the winner was the obvious class runner and did the job when he got the right go. Somebody, I don't think there's much between them. I think he's an underrated type. Stratum Siren's probably maybe racing a little bit tired, if anything, and honest efforts from Deal and Diamonds and Tudor Sunrise, who just probably a little bit weaker than these two overall in the class. Just have a look back at these ones on the fence here that were in that bumping duel. Sister's Joy, probably a victim of circumstance. Gate 1 could have probably got out a bit earlier, but the race was over by the time it's got out. This horse hard along the fence may be one that can improve. Definitely wasn't the place to be. And Raised to Legends, maybe not going as well as he can, but I think that was Bobby B on the fence there. Was one that he could be forgiving of. Fourth race. anything there. The staying race, and to me, before this race, the distance query on nearly every runner was the issue. I expected Thurston to be ridden back. He goes forward, and that didn't really help his cause. Rock My Lady was stepping up in trip, had the class, but that big distance rise was the query. Erica was ridden like perfectly the start before to get the distance, and looked at query. Red Dubai was stepping up. Something Borrowed was stepping up in class. Dewar, all of them looked massive distance query. So it did look between Esteban, who'd crushed them in a lot weaker grade over this sort of trip, and probably Thurston as the two, and maybe Something Borrowed, who'd had similar distance form, that were the ones that would run it out. Esteban just made it a one-horse race. They've run along, they've run time, and there's just no way I can knock this horse. I don't know how good he is because it's a weak field, but he just dominates them throughout, basically. He travels nicely. This is he has every other start, and then quickens when he wants to. And there's no excuses. Like, I think Thurston was probably ridden too far forward, and did get galloped on. I read in the steward's report, so he's got excuses, but he's sort of running out of patience with him. The rest of them have their chance. Rock My Lady's run pretty credibly, but he's shown good pace, control, and acceleration, and he's a stayer on the up. Not much more to say. Not really sure what level he'll get to, but a little apprehensive about the quality of the field he's beaten. But everyone will see that, and then you've got to say that he's not going to meet anything too much more solid at this time of year anyway, so he can keep winning. Race 5 looked a race that was all about who would get the right run of the race, and didn't look anything that would be overly strong late. Maybe the two Waller runners in Consign and Obsidian had the fitness base and looked like they might be strong. I was a bit surprised about how fast Choice Lager went in front, and thought his run was quite good here. And the other three, Super Tycoon was the one that made to work the hardest, come widest, and sustain a long run. And he's done an incredible effort to pick him up. He's just going extra well. So we'll have a look at the race. Choice Lager looked a dominant leader sort of on the map. This is Super Tycoon restrained out of the race, so really good effort of his. Choice Lager just, for mine, went a bit quick, and then tried to stack them up at the wrong time, and was left a bit of a sitting shot. Francesco gets through in this part that was pretty popular. Final Decision comes with us, and Super Tycoon's made to swoop around the whole field. Obsidian's a little bit unlucky, but no real excuses. Consign similar, so bunch finish, not much between them, which was expected before the race. And he gets the bob over the Final Decision, and Francesco's raced well. Choice Lager's going extra well as well. There's not much between these horses. They're handicap horses that will just keep going around against each other, and over this track distance, whatever, there's not going to be much between them. Victory's the one I'd like to see freshened or drop back in trip. I think he's going better than it seems on paper. And no real excuses for the rest. Going forward, any one of the first 4 across the 5, across the line, 6, 7 across the line can win placed to suit them. Victory as well, but again, these are the sort of horses that take turns, so I'm not looking to follow anything out of the race, but not looking to knock too many of them at the same time. Oxford Poet, given a great ride here, controls the race. The horse that was a little bit disappointing. And there were reasons for it. Sorry, I'm just trying to look it up. This was race 6. Bed Not Blue, entirely comfortable on the surface. and they're saying it'll be spelled. So no direct excuse, but saying it's we won't see it anytime soon. So they don't go quick here, and then they pick up the tempo just before the 600 metre mark. So Clark's done a good job to rate this horse well in front, and not a lot happens in the run, as you can expect. Better Not Blue tries to sustain that run longer than anyone, and obviously ran last. Zinzan Eddie's the horse that does improve here. He normally does take a couple of runs to hit his straps, and when he finds his form, he normally holds it. So this is a good sign for him. These sort of tracks suit him in this time of year, this sort of racing. So he's one that can definitely be winning next start. Ninth Legion doesn't really like these conditions, so he's battled on really well. And Oxford Poet was just well ridden, really. He does what he does every start, and he puts himself in the right place to win. And when he's left alone, he can finish it off. So he's done it well. Zinzan Eddie kept finding the line there, even though he looked like he peaked late again, so he can probably improve again from that, and is the horse to follow from the race for mine. No real excuses for the rest. Shadow Lord's probably just a little bit outgraded. Snippets Land presented beautifully there yesterday, so no excuses for it. And Marin Ostro, Ninth Legion, the top four have done their best, and there's not much to be really said about that. They've just raced where they finished where they should have. This was another race that was really evenly matched with a few queries, few horses first up, and Moral Victory. Sweet Fire usually takes a few runs. Tato Tondo coming up from Melbourne, or coming down from Brisbane, but on its way back to Melbourne where it normally races. El Sasso off the first up solid win. Paint with the change in tactics going to be ridden back again here, and Gran Punte both backing up off pretty lacklustre efforts in a strong race last week, so that Burning Passion form looks like it's going to be exceptionally strong. Stable Mater, the winner. Arouse sets a solid tempo in front. Moral Victory has no luck early. First up, he's another one that normally improves solidly off a run, so he's one to keep an eye out for this time of year. Gran Punto just has the perfect trail in behind them. Just want to Paint probably got flushed wide a little bit early. He might have copped the trail off the El Sasso if he was another half length further back, so he's not had a lot of luck getting to the outside a bit soon maybe, while Gran Punto's flushed in through the middle and never gone round a horse, and that's the difference in the end. El Sasso a little bit one-paced off that first up run, might have just taken a little bit out of him, and Tadai Tondo burst through the middle, but peaks a little bit late. So probably the Rides won the race there, with not a lot between the first three, and Paint a clear second best. Moral Victory's run really well first up. He's battled on really well after racing wide, no cover and working throughout, and he looks like he's come back well. Slate on Edge will always improve, as will Sweet Fire. So, and forget who was last. Actually, go back and watch his last 100, because it was tailed off basically last, and did parade like it needed the run. And he's finished off quite well too. So a good pipe opening for him as well. He looks like he's come back well. First two are going honestly. Tadai Tondo is obviously going honestly. El Sasso, I think you could probably put that down to a little bit of a flat run, if anything. He's obviously come back okay. Moral Victory ready to go next time, I would imagine. Forget might need one more, as might Sweet Fire and Slate on Edge. But again, not too many horses that are out of form. They're, again, take-turn horses that need to be well placed, and nothing to really follow out of the race. Possibly Moral Victory, but maybe not. He'll not looking to exactly back it wherever it goes. This race on paper, which was for a little bit more came to it with Thud leading in the run, but did look a distance query, and there did look really solid speed on paper with the likes of Thrill Seeking, Beniti backing up, and always looked like they'd sort of set some time. They do probably overdo it even a little bit more than expected, and Elu was the one that had the fitness base and the distance form behind it. Extensible was first up, had probably distance form, but that fitness query. So they were clearly the two best suited if they went quick up front, and Thud leading handed them an even better time of it, really. Beniti had to work a little bit to get to the front. I was very surprised that Thrill Seeking, which is a bit of a distance query, sort of comes up and decides to attack it really early when they had a chance to back it off and control things up front, and he sort of gets stuck into the leader at the 600 here, which was a bit of a strange decision, but the two leaders have run really well considering that. Thud's obviously bled, so not much you can say here, but an Extensible and Elu cut back through this middle section that was, again, popular for winners. Extensible gets held up a little bit, but not like it's costed the race, and eventually gets around the heels of Thrill Seeking and Beniti, while Elu just whips through the rails and he basically never touches the horse. So a clear winner. Extensible's come back in good form. These two leaders have run incredibly strong races for mine. That's probably as good as Beniti goes on the back up, hard fit, and I think, you know, a bit of a quick tempo apart from having to put that pressure on a little bit early. Suited it, and Thrill Seeking for mine's at an 1100 metre horse, so Wyatt's in this 1350 and running so well. It's incredible. I think it's in good form and can win if it finds the right race. Elu's just was suited by the conditions, but racing really well. Extensible will come on from that, and Thrill Seeking, Beniti, well, the first three across the line are ready to win for mine. Beniti's going to be hard to place, but he's going well enough if they find the right race for it. Lucky last, and really not a lot to report here. Probably the worst race of the day figures wise. They don't go out that hard and they come home even slower. We'll have a quick look at it to run through it. ISO Rich takes the tug in third. Butterboom's behind it in the run. Butterboom cuts back to the inside and looks the winner with ISO Rich on its inside. And ISO Rich is just hard fit and honest and battles on well. Too well in the last little bit. Really, again, nothing to report. I expected more from Puzzling Wonder, but he sort of over-raced a bit back in the field. And Pete's on his run. The rest, maybe No Bad Blood was running a good race here, fresh. Not a lot of luck in the run for it. And he's much better when he can control things from the front, so maybe a step back in grade and somewhere where he can get to the front, he'll be dangerous. Ragins was a strange sort of tactic choice to lead on it here, but it's run well, so they're probably the ones that are ready to win. Ragins and No Bad Blood. I think Puzzling Wonder's ready to win, but he's just been a bit of an enigma for a long time now, so that's about it for the day. Nothing too much to report out of that race. The horses that can probably come out of it and go well soon, and No Bad Blood and Puzzling Wonder Raging. So thanks guys, hope you got something out of it. Cheers.